What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Two-Wheeled Rider YouTube channel. My name is Mario Orsini, and it's just too damn nice not to ride the bike into work today. So as of filming this, today is Tuesday. Yesterday I put up a video about how I rebuilt, or at least changed the fluid on the stock WP steering stabilizer on my 2016 KTM 1290 Super Adventure that I'm riding right now. Just to get a couple questions out of the way, some of you asked if you know, additional seals are available, you know, replacement seals for the WP steering stabilizer. I'm looking into that. I mean, they're rubber seals, so I'm sure we can source them out somewhere. I've got a POC with a company that produces, or at least carries, all sorts of rubber seals. I'm also going to have someone reach out to WP that has a pretty good relationship with them to see if those things are available. But if you're careful when you're taking it apart, you shouldn't have to worry about replacing them at least the first time. Obviously, if you're going to be disassembling it, changing the oil fairly often, the seals are going to wear out and they're going to need replaced. So stay tuned. As I get more information, I'll be sure to share it. So I changed out the fork oil sometime last week, and then on Saturday I went out and rode 575 miles on the bike throughout the state of West Virginia. Some of you probably saw that up on my Facebook page. We did end up running that route. My sister came along with me. There'll probably be a video on that in the next couple of weeks once I have time to edit it. But I got a chance to test out, you know, the stabilizer since I changed the oil on it, and I wanted to share my thoughts. You know, on the workbench, you could tell a difference, but I didn't really think it would be that noticeable once I bolted it back on the bike. I was wrong. It is a noticeable difference, and it is much, much better than it was with the factory oil in there. Now keep in mind, my bike's about ready to flip over 31,000 miles, so that oil's gotten plenty of work, and it was probably due for a replacement a long time ago. But if you've got a 1090, 1190, 1290, any of them with the factory damper on it, I don't care how many miles are on it, I would recommend popping that thing off of there and putting some fresh oil in. The 15 weight seems to work really, really well. 20 weight may be a little better, I don't know. But I noticed a big difference, especially in high-speed stability and cornering stability. I never really thought this thing was, you know, too shaky or anything to begin with. I've really had no complaints out of it, but it's much, much better with that oil changed in it. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, changing the oil out in this thing is not all of a sudden going to turn it into a Scott steering damper or even one of the Hyper Pros, because obviously they're a little bit better equipment. They're also much, much pricier. Instead of, you know, 50 cents worth of oil on the damper you already have, you're going to be dropping, I think the Hyper Pros around $400, $350, $400, and the Scotts, depending on the mounting kit and how you decide you want to mount it, you're probably looking at, on the low end, 500, on the high end, 700 plus. So you're not going to get that type of performance out of it, but what you are going to get is much better performance than it came from the factory. And if you've got quite a few miles on your bike, you're probably going to notice an even better jump in performance, because what oil was in there has definitely broken down at this point. So for the, you know, I'm going to say about an hour job, it's probably a little bit less than that, but you want to take your time to do it. And, you know, a thing of fork oil, if you don't have some sitting around, you know, it's probably going to run you $7-8 for a quart of it or a liter of it. It's definitely a worthwhile thing to do on your bike. I think you're really going to enjoy the benefits, the little bit of performance increase. What is that, a turtle? A little bit of performance increase that you're going to get out of it. I was really surprised how much better the bike handles, because the steering stabilizer is actually doing something now versus the oil in there. And I wish I would have shown it in the video. I mean, it just looked like dirty water. So, you know, someone else asked me about the service interval on it. If you look in the KTM factory service manual, they don't even list it as being serviceable, so there is no interval on changing it. I don't really know. I mean, if I had to, you know, maybe once a year, every 2 years, it's going to come down to the amount of miles you put on the bike, the type of riding you do. You know, if you're doing way more off-road riding, you're probably going to want to change it a little more often. But, you know, just be careful when you're disassembling and reassembling it, that you don't bust up those seals. like I said, I'll check into it, see what I can come up with when it comes to the seals and the filter on the inside, and as soon as I have that information, I'll share that on the channel. But if you're wondering how this thing performs, it's so much better. So highly recommend changing out the oil on your factory WP steering dampener on your KTM adventure bike. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of this ride into work. Some of you may have noticed my mirrors are not up here, and that's because I put a set of Rottweilers on. So look for a couple videos on that, an installation and a review. This is actually the first time I've ridden with them on. And another video I've shot on the Super Adventure is if you have the SW Motec mount. I've had a couple issues out of mine with it coming loose and rattling a little bit, and I came up with a permanent solution I'm going to share with you guys. Video's already been shot, just need to edit that, and I'll share that information with you. And it's a pretty simple solution that's going to cost you like $2 and I don't know, maybe 45 minutes worth of your time. So look for an additional video on that, plus all the videos on the European trip and the European debrief series. We got a lot of stuff coming up, which means we may not be limited to 2 videos a week for a while. We may end up going to 3 or 4 because I got a lot of stuff I want to get out to you guys as quickly as possible to make your riding experience better. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you like motorcycles, well, this is the place to be. If you have any questions about the steering stabilizer, oil, fork seal, or not fork seals, but oil seals, any of that stuff, let me know down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to try to answer them. And as always, God, that thing sounds good. I'll talk to you again soon.